think so many people very quickly will be like, but the problem is I can't stick to my products, I can't stick to my calorie deficit, I can't stick to my whatever it is. And it's like, okay, stop trying to look at something that's quite multifaceted, so one-dimensionally. Like you're looking at it in a way that is going to breed negativity within your mind.
Hey girls, and welcome back to another episode of the Let's Chat Girls podcast on Spotify and YouTube with your hosts, Gemma and Rach. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video.
Welcome to the first Diet Dilemmas of 2025. On our second episode this week, our first week of 2 episodes. We hope you enjoyed the last episode that was slightly shorter. And as we said, we were going to come and bring you another episode. And we're hoping to do a Diet Dilemmas every week because we get so many questions and we have so many of you reach out that we want to make sure that we are helping. And we're giving some expertise to everyone. So this week, Gemma, we've got 2 diet dilemmas. And as we said in the last episode, we're also going to look at celebrating someone's success of the week. So I thought we would start with the client win. Selfishly, it's one of my clients this week. Gem, I'll
get one next week. Yeah.
So one of my clients had a difficult end of 2024. They were feeling stuck in a cycle of overindulgence and emotional eating. Kind of the Christmas period had gone maybe not as she'd maybe hoped when it came to things. She planned it all, but look, the best plans always kind of don't work out, right? You can go in with the best mindset, the best plans. Sometimes it doesn't work out. And it's key then not to blame yourself because it's so easy for us to go, but it worked for Gem, so why isn't it not working for me? And it's like, well, because we all have different
But that's when the spiral of guilt and failure kicks in, doesn't it? And actually, no, it happens to most people.
So determined to start the new year differently, she joined my 28-day challenge group, which I know, Gem, you've got your 28-day challenge going
so
as
good,
well. So good to refocus. And obviously it's a brilliant community. And I asked them all to focus on some goals. So not plugging here, but I am. Mindset course, goal setting. It is available on my YouTube. Really recommend it this time of year. And her 2 key goals were drinking 3 litres of water a day and sticking to her products just 1 day at a time. So she has a lot going on. And trying to even look at the whole week was becoming really overwhelming. So it's right, we literally are going to focus on daily goals and we're going to celebrate them every day. You're going to message me, we're going to celebrate them. We're going to use that to build the positive momentum.
I love that.
By the end of her first week, bearing in mind at the beginning of the week, she was in just a really, really rough place and was really down on herself and was like, I don't know how I'm ever going to get this back on track. You know, it was that I have to be 100% on plan. And we changed that and we said, you know what?
Yeah.
If you can only get your 2 products in and your water and kind of do that step 3 instead of being back on Soul Source, just do it for a week. Let's see how you get on. She lost 5.5 pounds. But more importantly, she felt mentally in control again. And she felt more positive and confident in what she was doing. And when we looked at kind of what helped with that, what was the things that really helped you get back in that zone? She said routine reset. So returning to that world of her routine. Like me and you, Jem, we are such suckers for our routine. We love it.
I can't live without it. It's so important.
It helps so much, right? And sometimes if you're feeling like at the minute things are just not in the right place or I'm not doing well with plan, I would encourage you to look at your routine in the day. Is that still a little bit all over the shop? Is it actually that I've not got my routine back in place so that you can focus on that? For some of my guys in the challenge group, it was things like they were back in work, the kids were back in school, but they still didn't have that evening routine perhaps. They hadn't kind of brought that back in or the mornings were really chaotic because morning routines hadn't been brought back into place. And instead of us focusing on those things, as we do a lot of the time when we're stressed, they were just being like, well, I'm crap at my diet. And it was like, no, look at those bits. And when they are in place, you're going to feel so much better. She also listened to the podcast, did some of the mindset masterclasses that are available just to try and engage back in with the community. Again, like we said last week, it's so easy
really
to want to distance yourself, but lean in. And community support. By being able to say that she was struggling, she was able to build those conversations within the group and then able to share her wins and her struggles, which made her feel less isolated. So when asked what's your takeaway from the week, she said, this isn't about a perfect start. It's about building a foundation that sets me up for success all year long.
Oh my God, she's amazing. I love her.
Could have cried. It was like,
you're like, yes, my baby.
Yeah. I was like, yes, that's everything.
She listened to her mama.
Honestly, the big takeaway not to be, I lost weight. Like the very little of that was like, I lost weight. It was just like, I I
The weight is like
realise
the last
now
part of it, isn't it? It's the result of actually everything she's put in place there. That she's done amazing.
the weight loss will happen. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
That is an almost a non-interesting part of this. That
Yeah.
will happen if you're doing what we're asking of you,
Yeah.
which isn't just sticking to the plan. We know that there's so much more to that. But to then be able to find all the other things and all the other positives and the wins and, those are the bits that are just so special.
Oh,
and honestly,
that's so lovely.
I couldn't be prouder. And 5.5 pounds lost in a week is amazing. So well done on your win for the week. I love it. And again, if you have got anything that you would like us to celebrate, send it in to us. Everything will be in the show notes as always. So you can go down and have a look. Whilst you're there, don't forget, subscribe. Like this episode. You have no idea how much that helps us. And if you press a little bell notification, you'll be notified every time there is a new episode. So going on to our diet dilemmas, Jam. And as you can imagine, they're very New Year focus.
Yeah, okay.
Some of it we have kind of covered in last week's episode, but we're going to give space to New Year dilemmas because a lot of people are probably feeling like it. And it's like we said before.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's a hard time if you're not feeling great and all you're seeing everywhere is new me, new year, new me.
Oh, it can make you feel awful, can't it? When you're not in that place, you're not in that mindset yet, because it is everywhere, isn't it? Same with the New Year, New Year's Eve post. It was everywhere. These are my goals. This is what I'm going to do. And what if you don't want to do that yet? You know what I mean? It makes you feel like you failed, basically, doesn't it?
Also, if you're in a place in your life where we are surviving, not thriving, then the thought then of even adding more onto your plate or looking at people that are like, oh, I've done this and this and this year. And you're like, I've got nothing to show for this year. You have but you absolutely have, just because it looks slightly different. Like the fact that me and Jamie are here, we survived a really rough year of parenting. That is worth more almost than any of these other bits. So we're gonna acknowledge that it doesn't have to be all about big goals, big achievements. The little things matter as well. But a lot of questions came in, Jam, about how do I avoid the pressure of new year, new me mindset and instead focus on building a sustainable plan for long-term success. I really try hard to work on my mindset and have been listening to the podcast for a while now, but I can't help let that little voice in my head come in and tell me I should be doing the best step, which actually I know now is just the most restrictive.
What she thinks that's the best. She thinks that's the best step, the most restrictive.
So she has done this, and I think what she's meaning is, quotation marks if you're listening and you're not watching, is that there's that part of your brain, isn't there, that will say to you that if you're not doing the most restrictive thing after a time like Christmas, that you are not doing, you're failing, even if you're having success. And it sounds like she's been working on her mindset,
which is brilliant. And the fact she's acknowledging that she knows she probably shouldn't be thinking that, but she's also admitting that she is thinking that, which again is really important.
Huge.
We still do it, don't we? We're like, oh, I'm so tempted to just go straight back to that or go back to how I used to think. So I think the fact that she's acknowledged that is amazing, because that shows she has actually worked on her mindset and it is working. 2, it doesn't happen overnight. Why does it keep doing this?
I don't know.
Why do our phones do this? It's an iPhone thing, I think. And 2, the fact that she's acknowledged and she wants to change that, I think that's really important.
I would argue that the fact that you can acknowledge it and you've been brave enough to
talk
openly about it shows that it is a new year, new you. Because would past yous have done this? No, you would have got sucked in and carried on down the road of let me just be the most restrictive possible, ultimately damage my mindset, burn out by the end of January, feel like a massive failure. We see that we have been that has been our cycles in the past as well. And I think you're right, Jem. I've had to say this to so many clients this week that I still have moments like that. I still have that little gremlin in my brain that
it always comes up, doesn't it? The same thoughts come out still 11, 12 years down the line, but you're learning to back them off and change them.
I always say you're parenting them since becoming a parent.
When did you told me that once? Wasn't there like a monkey or something?
Yeah, well, there is this idea in psychology that we have got a chimp in our brain. It's called the Chimp Paradox. I mean, you can look into it. I would get the stripped down version. I used to train people in it in my old job, and it's a bit heavy. But the idea is that basically in your brain, there is that part of your brain that is fight, flight, freeze. Okay. And as we've developed over millennia as people, I don't know how long we've been here, I have no idea. But as we've progressed, obviously the world around us has changed loads, that's evolved so much, but actually fundamentally our brains have not progressed at the same rate as society. So there is still this little chimp this little part in our brain that is like, panic, woolly mammoth coming to kill me, I need to panic and do whatever. And actually what happens is that where we don't have the woolly mammoth now, we have other like social pressures or stressors in life, it triggers that part of our brain. And when that happens, you will normally find the chimp comes out, and the chimp is just your reactive side of your brain. It's the side that doesn't think, it doesn't go through processes to be like, is this the right thing to do? What's actually going to help me? So you find this a lot in people that are like emotional eaters. You know, when people say, I don't know what happened, I just kind of ended up in the fridge, or I just ended up eating this. Normally it's that kind of fight, flight, freeze mechanism in your brain has been triggered, and your response to it, the response that you've created over life to deal with that reaction, is to go to food. Same way that if somebody maybe has a drink when they're stressed, it might be that they've turned to booze for that. Gym, exercise. If he's stressed, he's like, I have to go out running. It's like this, you can't control it. It's like a compulsion. Chimp Paradox at its core is a method to acknowledge this and manage it. And it's a way in which you can kind of look to parent it. It's not parenting in the theory, but I always say, for me, the best analogy was, it's like I've got a little toddler in my head. And so that toddler is kicking off, or they want, you know, the way like when a kid wants something, there's no reasoning. They just, they just go wild. So it's like that comes out, and then you've got to be like, no, sit down. We're going to have 5 minutes. We're going to think. We're going to just have a minute.
It's being able to withdraw yourself from that situation. That's the hardest bit, isn't it? Because a lot of people say, well, I didn't think, it was just impulsive. It happened. And then I didn't realise I'd actually done it until after.
That's it. And the key behind it is that you can, so when we talk about things like, what are my triggers? So with thought processes like this, right? What are my triggers? So we could say, my trigger is, I go on social media, I see posts from people talking about like new year, new me, or I see maybe certain content and it triggers me. Okay. Now, what you want to be able to do when you kind of have this idea in your head is go, okay, let's take a step back. Let me think about what triggers me, and let me put something in place so the trigger doesn't happen. So in that instance, it may be right for a period of time in January, I'm going to mute certain accounts on Instagram. I'm going to mute certain words in Google so ads don't pop up for certain things. Maybe I'm going to come off certain social media platforms for a period of time whilst I focus on myself. To, instead of looking at how do I react when the trigger happens, which is very difficult because you are literally putting your brain into a place where it isn't thinking rationally. It's reacting as if your life's in danger. It's about going backwards and thinking, how do I try and avoid those things happening? Again, I don't want to sound like a massive beggy plug, but it is interesting to look at a little bit more when you look at your triggers. And we did record, I think we recorded that mindset session on the podcast. So I will find the link to it and put it down below, where it looked at,
it was really good.
What are my triggers? So when we say like I'm an emotional eater, like what is actually triggering that kind of thing? So I can put things in place to help. And if you're someone like a lot of us, because, you know, me and Gem haven't had a brain transplant, we still struggle with these thoughts and we've got to keep them in check, then it is about, like, what can I do to protect that? Like, I'm not naive. I know the stuff that's going to impact me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
How do I protect that? And the other thing may be that maybe now I need to lean in more to my like consultant and their support. Like,
it's talking to someone, isn't it?
You need rationale, right?
You do.
You need somebody to say probably what you already know, but you need that reinforcement. So it's definitely not the time to think I can go it alone or I can just do it. You know, you really need to lean in and have that support. Because like you say, Jen, we do that with each other all the time. We'll be like, oh,
all
come on
the time.
now.
Everyone needs it.
Get that toddler on the naughty step and just give them 5 minutes. Because
the good thing is as well, we do talk about, even like when we're feeling negative or something has triggered us, you know, we wouldn't normally openly talk about that, but we've got each other to say, oh my God, I feel like shit, this has happened. And then the other person will say, look, this is what you'd normally do. You know, what would you tell your clients? And it's just, it is that reassurance all the time. We all need it, even though we all know, everybody knows what they want to do or what they should do, but doing it, it's a different thing, isn't it? You need someone to tell. I need you to tell me.
I do. Like,
you and Nat are like, stop it.
You need somebody that is just going to come in, because like the other thing, whenever you're talking about like thoughts and things like that come into your mind, we don't talk about it. And then what we do is we ruminate on it, right? And we make really big things. And funnily enough, one thing that all of my clients, not all of them, but majority of them were like struggling with was, I'm working so hard to overcome emotional eating, but I feel like I've really overindulged over Christmas and I feel really bloated. And I was like, look, my 6 foot brothers with like 8% body fat, they are also who haven't got any issue with food. I don't know why their genetics ended up like that. Not sure in the slightest. But even they're like, oh God, I feel a little bit rough after Christmas. It's normal. Like, and sometimes because we get so locked in on the things that we're trying to like heal within ourselves, we don't actually understand that there are parts of how we feel that are completely normal.
The majority of people feel the same.
Them. Like, you know, and I think getting someone to speak to is really important. The fact that you messaged in is a huge step for that. And like, I
feel like she's already winning.
Like I'm so proud. I'm so proud of
me too.
And being honest with that. And I think it's tapped into something a lot of people are probably struggling with. So get support and parent that little toddler kicking off in your head. So last question for today.
Okay.
How do I reset after a festive season of indulgence without feeling guilt or shame or encouraging an all or nothing mindset? Again, I feel like this is similar in that it's clear you've done loads of work because you're aware that I don't want this to happen.
Very similar.
Which is good. And a lot of questions were like this. And I think resetting after a festive season will be different for everyone. Obviously, I did share kind of my 5 days back onto plan method, which is just every day we focus on one thing, we build on things. So instead of going straight
and it's one day at a time, isn't it?
And I, you know, equally with my clients, I was saying, but don't be fooled. For some of you, you just need to go in and do it. Like, there's not going to be one bit of advice that we give that is going to work for everybody.
But that's why the groups are so important. The communities are really important, because that's where I feel lots of people have got their different ways of dealing with it. And you can kind of relate to different ones. And then no one's ever alone, because there's always somebody else feeling the same as you. And you'll think, right, that's how I'm going to do it. That will work for me. Do you know what I mean? You have to open up and talk about it and talk about the struggles to then help someone else and in turn help yourself, if that makes sense.
And also to give yourself that reassurance that how I'm doing it is okay. Because I think that's what happens. We kind of think, oh, I'm doing this, but nobody else is. So that means that I'm doing it the wrong way.
Isn't it funny that everyone thinks nobody else, like, and as a consultant, obviously we see the vast majority of it. And it's like, I wish they could know. My God, the majority of my clients have said exactly what you have said today, but none of them have wanted to share it. So that's why I've encouraged them to share the highs and the lows on the group. It's really important, because people only ever want to show positive, don't they? They only ever want to talk about it if they're on plan. And I get clients saying, oh, well, I don't want to put it in there because so-and-so's doing really well. I don't want to put her off. I'm like, you won't. She's on it. Like, she's doing what she's doing and she shared it because she's proud. But actually, if you share what you've just said, I can literally put money on it that there's going to be at least 10 people that say the same. And it makes them feel so much better. I had really sad voice notes actually with one of my clients yesterday. She was crying on the phone because she felt so guilty. But again, she said very similar to this lady. She wants to change. She knows she needs to change, but she was admitting how she felt. But she only did that because I messaged her. I had this weird sixth sense. I texted her, "Are you okay?" Because I hadn't heard from her. She was like, "Oh my God, how did you know?" I was like, I knew that you'd be struggling and you didn't want to talk about it. She's got a call actually on Thursday, so I get to talk to her properly. Yeah, and she's going to share it in the group. I just think it's really important to share with other people, because that's the first step to knowing that you're not alone and it is normal.
Yeah.
That is the first thing, isn't it? That's the first barrier.
But our brains will, like that part of your brain that keeps you trapped in that cycle, because rightly or wrongly, we, in a weird, perverse way, would rather sit in a place that is not comfortable or that is really hard for us just because we know it. And it's like better the devil you know. And so that part of your brain will try and tell you that it is just you. No one can relate. No one's going to understand. No one else goes through this, because then you're telling yourself there's no fix.
Yeah, like, you're right.
But also, you're not a unicorn. Like, I remember I had a therapist once, one of my many. One of my many therapists who was trying to treat anxiety that was actually undiagnosed ADHD. Makes sense why none of them work.
Yeah.
But I remember him saying to me once something, it was like put across quite bluntly, but it worked really well for me. He was like, "You're not special. Like, you're sat in a chair trying to tell me why I can't help or why this is like, but you are not special. Like, I have loads of clients that go through exactly the same thing, but you're telling yourself that nobody else feels like this, nobody else goes through this, because then nobody can help you because nobody has experience of it. And I was like, all right, mate, don't call me out like that. That's not nice, not fair. And he was right.
But he was right.
And
it's the same with a lot of clients, isn't it?
Yeah. People think that it is literally just them. And I'm like, right, for what? And you know it's not just you, because you've got me and Jem right here that are like, nah, we've been there. Like, like, we get it. But also, like you say, if people just spoke more about it, and that doesn't have to be in a massive public platform, but the fact that, you know, we do have these community groups for our clients, we have the separate kind of offshoot challenge groups, like, use them. Like, that would probably be the biggest advice. If you want to know how to reset, you need to, first and foremost, obviously speak to your consultant. But secondly, you need to jump in head first with that community and be open and honest and share with them so that you can all support each other.
Yeah.
Because that's where I think more magic happens in those moments. And like you said, with your client, booking calls.
Yeah. It's just, that is it. It's dive in head first, isn't it? Doing everything you can. Don't just sit back and ignore all the support that's out there. There's so much. I always say to my clients, you're missing out. If you're not on like the Instagram community, personally, I think you're missing out, because there's so much love and support on there. It is amazing. And we've tried to create that amongst our clients as well, because we know the community kind of atmosphere really helps people. It does. It's one of the biggest things for accountability, I think, and change, and knowing you're not on your own.
Yeah, 100%. And equally, I would say, don't look at this as a calorie deficit problem. I think so many people very quickly will be like, well, the problem is I can't stick to my products. I can't stick to my calorie deficit. I can't stick to my whatever it is. And it's like, okay, stop trying to look at something that's quite multifaceted one-dimensionally. Like, you're looking at it in a way that is going to breed negativity within your mind. Like, it's almost like you're looking at ways to make yourself feel like crap. So instead, reach out so you can get that other perspective, because that's actually going to enable you as well to be like, okay, actually, why am I really struggling with this? What is the difficulty? Like, what's happened that's like dented my confidence or made me feel a kind of way? Do you feel vulnerable? Is that a scary thing to do? Yeah. But actually, will it have the biggest results for you long term? Also, yes. Jem, I cannot believe this, right? But we have pretty much nailed on another episode in like 20 minutes.
I know, we're on 23, but that's all right. We've done well. I think we've done really well to get it down from like an hour.
I know. And I hope that you have enjoyed the shorter episodes. As we've said, there are the 2 episodes each week now, Diet Dilemmas and the Slimmer Success Story of the Week. And then another episode which is more kind of based on a specific topic, or we'll have a guest, and it's all good. So there are links in the description box. As always, you can submit Diet Dilemmas, your success of the week, or if there's topics you want us to cover, or if there's someone you want us to have on the podcast to interview,
that'd be good.
Let us know. Please make sure that you follow, like, give this video a comment, and let us know what you thought of it. Celebrate our Slimmers win this week. That is what we want to see in the comments. We want to see people sharing their wins and sharing their successes and sharing their struggles. We want a whole like cocktail of it going on down there. And as always, if you want to follow either of our socials, they will also be in the description down below. But for now, it is goodbye from me.
And bye from me.
And we will speak to you all again really soon.